So I've been shopping on eBay and I was able to get a 1 terabyte SDXC card for £34. What's going on? Have I been ripped off by all these other $200 or $300 cards for a lot less size? Surely that can't be true. £35 for a 1 terabyte card? Wow. Here's the thing. I received a number of comments after my last video when I talked about SD cards. People were telling me, but I must be wrong because on eBay and Amazon there are companies selling Class 10 cards or UHS 1 cards or Class 10 cards at 1 terabyte in size. Whereas I said you can't get that size at the moment. What's more, they were telling me that the prices that I mentioned were way too expensive. So I had a look. So here's the thing. Here is a Class 10. It actually says it's V90. The packaging is inconsistent to say the least. But it says it's a 1 terabyte card. So what is the deal with this? Are we being lied to by these big manufacturers? Is the cost really just £35 for a 1 terabyte card? No, it's not. This is a fake SD card. And I had a second communication from a friend of mine who was just about to start a YouTube channel. And they'd bought several of these cards. And they've lost like days and days of filming because these cards are bad. But just how bad are they? Well, so let's open up the Blackmagic disk speed test utility and let's see what the performance of this fake SD card can do. And right away we can see actually not very much at all. It's getting a 10 meg write and a 17 meg read. This thing is garbage, and as we can see by that checklist there, it's not even capable of doing any of the HD resolutions at all. That's not enough for HD video. That's not enough for, it certainly isn't enough for 4K. It's barely enough for 720. Now if we compare that to the Sony V90, which is an SDXC card, one of the fastest cards on the market, we can see that that's getting a 91 meg write and a 200 meg read. That is absolutely fine. That is going to have no problems in your fast cameras running full HD. I use this to record 4K. It's absolutely terrific. And even if we then look at like the SanDisk or the A-Data cards, which are similar in performance, you can see right here the SanDisk is a little bit slower in reads than the A-Data, but both the A-Data and the SanDisk can write at more than adequate speeds for, you know, high quality video. People often want to know just how these cards stack up against a fast hard disk. Well, here we have the M2 NAND storage out of my Mac Pro, and you can see that that is really fast. That's even 10 times faster than the Sony, so that's a very fast disk. So yeah, this disk is slow. Just to give you some reference point here, copying like a 30 gig file took me 4 hours. 4 hours. That takes a few seconds on one of the faster cards. And also I found that once I'd hit about 32 gigabytes, everything I wrote after that just became corrupt. Everything. So this tells me that this is really a 32 gigabyte card, even though when I plug that into the computer, it actually reports as a 1 terabyte card. Now, that's pretty grim. And even more alarming is the company that sells it have actually sold hundreds of these things, and they're getting tons of positive feedback. So how is that possible? How are they able to get away with this? 32 gigs is actually quite a lot of space. Even though all my cards are at least 128 gigabytes, most are 256 gigabytes, I rarely use more than 32 gigabytes before I take the cards out and copy that data to my computer. It's actually very rare when I'll go beyond that. So the chances are most people don't even realize they have one of these bad cards. And that's really scary because they are such low quality. People could be committing really important data to these cards and it's going to go very badly wrong for them soon. So what's going on here? How can this be possible? This is a fake A-Data card that I bought. Here's a fake Samsung card that I bought. And I had a look online and there's SanDisk and all sorts of cards at really ridiculously cheap prices. Clearly there's a catch here, and this is clearly a big market. So while these fake memory cards might let you down, TubeSpanner will never let you down. And they're about to go into beta. I should know because I'm writing it myself. Head over to the TubeSpanner page right now. They're going to be sponsoring all my videos because it's kind of my business. And register today if you want to get on a beta. TubeSpanner is the tool to help you write your videos, publish your videos, do your graphics, do your script. It'll help you through pretty much every step of your video creation workflow. Go and sign up today. It's completely free of charge to join the beta right now. So go ahead and register. On your SD card, there are actually two chips. There's the actual storage chip where the data lives. And then there's a little controller chip that tells the computer where files are, where the data is, how much free space is left. It basically maps the data on the disk. And what happens is people will flash this with a fake firmware, so the computer reads it as a 1 terabyte drive, or whatever size they want. Could be a bajillion terabytes. And then the data would be written to the card. But it'll be corrupt and damaged and, faulty. And what seems to be happening is the first 32 gigabytes, well, actually, the first 29 gigabytes, which is quite low, even if we account for system space, are okay, but very, very slow. And then there's this small sort of looping partition that's invisible to the user, but data seems to get written to that bit over and over again. So once you fill the main, not quite 32 gig section, there's then this like phantom section that gets written to over and over again. And I guess they hope that you will delete the files in the 32 gig section, so you may never see this phantom corruption. Or if you do, you'll just, it's just a one-off, I'll reformat the disk and use it again. And guess what? It'll work again for 32 gigs. So you may never get to see this fakeness rear its head. So where do they come from? Well, lots of these could be old stock. Nobody buys 32 gig cards anymore, especially class 10s. So they just rebrand these as, whatever, because people just look for V90 and V60 and they'll see a few words that match. And these cards will work on pretty much any device because they're really, really old and SD is backwards compatible. These could be a thing called a third shift, where you have people will go back into work in factories out of hours and they'll make these knockoff cards. That's quite common. They could be reject cards, which somebody's just taking up the back door. There's all sorts of ways where these things can enter the market. And you've got to be really careful because places like Amazon and eBay will just sell these things. They're so easy to buy. I bought these off Amazon and off eBay with no difficulty whatsoever. They both arrived the next day. Both my orders came from Amazon and eBay the very next day. So these are in stock in the UK somewhere by a dodgy supplier. And that's grim. So how do you protect yourself? Well, buy them from manufacturers directly or big retailers who, even if they do sell through Amazon, buy them from companies like, well-established brands, photography companies that have been around for some time, where you're not going to get scammed. If it's some little dodgy Billy Bob's memory card shop and they're selling, what look like branded cards or even, cheap cards at a price is too good to be true, just avoid them. Here's the thing. You don't want to risk your data to a bad card. It simply is not worth it. You can get a good quality branded 64 gig card for not much money anymore. If you don't need the fastest card, if you're not running 4K HDR video, then a good quality V30 or a high-end class 10 card is probably more than enough. So don't worry too much about going for the fastest speeds unless you really need it. But do go for the highest quality you can. Sony, Panasonic, SanDisk. These are good brands. And often you'll hear people say, don't buy them, they were crap. It's probably because they bought a fake version. The big brands are all pretty decent. And the other problem is what you do if you've got one of these cards, like my friend did. Stop using it. Get your data off that card as quickly as you can. You do not know when that chip will fail, when the card will fail, when everything about that will just collapse and die. Do not use these cards. If you've bought one, get a refund, send it back, or just throw it in the bin if you can't get a refund anymore, but do not use them. Now, something you can do if you really, really must is use a disk formatting tool to force the disk format to the capacity that you know it is, probably 32 gigs. And you can check this by writing files to it. It'll take a long time because these things are so slow. And when you start getting corruption, see how much space is being used, and that's just below that is the actual space. But honestly, you're far better off going to your local, supermarket. Everyone sells SD cards these days. So just get an off-the-shelf branded one that you recognize. So that's pretty much it for this one. If you like this sort of content and you want to be kept informed of everything I do, then hit that subscribe button and hit that alarm bell. As always, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, well, you know what to do. Comment, share, leave your chat below. I'd love to know what you think about these dodgy cards. Popping up over there is the last video I put out, and below that is the one YouTube thinks you should watch next. Sometimes it's the same one. Not my fault. It's YouTube. It's weird. Thank you so much for watching. I shall see you in the very, very next show. Thank you so much. Bye.